the material in my in my presentation. May I ask you if klaro ba ang akong screen?
Yes, sir. Claro, sir.
Klaro, klaro. Okay, that's good. So, sorry, excuse me. So I'll start the lecture. This will be a lecture on the supply and demand, say analysis, no? Or this actually is market forces, no? Market forces, and then the theory of supply and demand, no? First, we will look into a quick review of the demand side, and then also a quick review of the supply side. For those of you with a basic economic background, this particular module will just be a walk in the park for some of you, no? Perhaps. Now, for those who do not have the benefit of basic economics in their undergrad, this is also being done, or I mean, this is handled or discussed in a way that it wouldn't be that uh, difficult for those without economics background. So I'm going to hit the middle part so that whether you have a background or not, you are still okay. No, you're still okay. So last meeting, if you recall, we discussed on the fundamental say fundamentals of managerial economics, and that module we have discussed that there are about seven, if my recall is correct, seven very important principles and also concepts that the manager or the business manager must be aware, no? To mention some, for example, the the goals and constraints, no? So that when you do something, you should have a goal, because if you are doing something without a plan, you are a fraud. If you fail, you are a fraud if you fail, because you are doing something without a plan. It is just plainly a conjecture. So it is really something that you are doing in which you have a clear destination. No, that's very important. Goals and constraints, and you know exactly what are your constraints also. No, so that your constraints will serve as your jump off point to the next level of attaining your goal. No, and then you have also goals and constraints. You have the concept of profit, the understanding of what is economic profit, accounting profit, and everything. And then you also have what the 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 concept or the understanding of basic understanding of the market, basic understanding of incentives and marginal analysis, and so on and so forth, and such and so. No, so these are the different, say, fundamental concepts that the business manager should be aware, because at the end of the day, any problem in business is always solvable using economic theory. No, the theory in economics is always the one that is useful to address or to solve business management problem. So that's why business and economics are actually first degree cousin, if we may call it, no? Because you cannot proceed with analyzing problems in business without a background or a solid understanding about the concept of economics. That's why managerial economics is such a very important subject in like master's level of management. And then you will also notice that the concept of economics is always uh, at the core. No, when you say core, that means fundamental course that you need to take before taking all other major subjects in business management. And to begin with, economics always usually starts at the concept or within the concept of demand and supply. No, so when it comes to demand, no, when it comes to demand, now, there are a lot of definitions of demand, no? Now, the demand actually is really something that emanates from the customer, not from the producer, no? You cannot imagine demand. You have to know what the customer is really providing signal, because that is where you can derive your demand. Now, demand states that price and quantity demanded are inversely related. That means to say that is the law of demand actually defines the relationship between price and quantity demanded, and that price and quantity demanded are inversely related. The if there is an increase in price, naturally the demand will go down, and so on. No, so it's if price decreases, demand will also increase. That's the relationship between them. That is, as price rises and falls, the quantity demanded for good or service decreases or rises. Ceteris paribus. Oh, here we are again. What is this? Ceteris paribus mutatis mutandis. It's something like that. No, ceteris paribus actually is a Latin term that is always attached to the assumption of like the laws of economics, ceteris paribus, or all other factors held constant, no? Or other factors held constant. Because behavior is so dynamic, is so elusive, that you need to confine your analysis on something that you hold constant, so that so that you can isolate the effect of a particular variable to any of these different behavior inside, no? That's why if you say price is inversely related to uh, demand is inversely related to price, or quantity demanded is inversely related to price, it means all other factors held constant. That means you are holding income constant, you are holding like for example information constant, etc. No, so that is the case, so that we can isolate the individual effect. Ceteris paribus is very important. Now, when it comes to demand, let us take a very straightforward and a very simplistic example. Say, demand for Valencia oranges in the Philippines, for example. This is hypothetical data, no? So if you have the price column here, this one, the price column, you will notice that price increases from 5 to 40, no? Valencia oranges, now 5 to 40 pesos. And the quantity demanded in kilograms by a certain buyer, it ranges from 80,000 to 10,000, depending on the price. And then another is you have consumers' income, advertising expenditure, and also average price of competing product, apples, no? Competing products all are constant, no? Constant. You have consumers' income, advertising expenditure, and even the price of competing products constant. You isolate the effect of like price to quantity demanded. So that's the situation. That's the how a demand schedule would look like. From this graph, from this from this example, you have as price increases, you have quantity demanded decreases, and so on. No, so that is that a demand schedule. Now, if we graph that, no, if we graph that, you have the price at like, for example 80 or 5 here, you have 80,000, no? Nang igo na diri sa gibutang lang 80,000 for example. That is price, for example, at this particular point. Now, as price increases, you will also see a decreasing quantity demanded. So, in other words, if the formally demand for a product or demand itself is defined as the various quantities of goods and services that the consumers are willing to purchase at a particular price, at a particular time, at a particular place, ceteris paribus, no? Or all other factors held constant. So that is the formal definition of demand, the various quantities of goods and services. Now, what about market demand? No, what about marketing? You have demand in maybe individual sellers demand, or you also have a market demand. Okay, the market demand is a curve indicating the total quantity of goods all consumers are willing to purchase and be able to purchase at its possible price. Again, ceteris paribus, no? Prices of related goods, income, advertising, other trace and preference, and other variables are held constant when we say ceteris paribus. So when we say Demand, it could refer to individual person's demand. But when you say market demand, it is now the summation of all customers like demand for that particular for that particular product. Like for example, demand for well-milled rice in the market of bye-bye or something like that. Now, how do we get the market demand then? The market demand is actually the summation of all quantities of well-milled rice demanded or that the consumers are willing to purchase at a particular time, like 1 week or 1 day or something like that. So, pagsamahin mo yan, i-add mo tanan, you will get the market demand. Okay? So, you will notice that the market demand is whatever the price, mao na siya demand. Okay? That means to say, its customers are price takers. No? So, remember, market demand is the total quantity of goods. I mean, total summation of all individual demand. Okay, if there are how many? If there are 10,000 or maybe 5,000 household, okay, 5,000 household buying in bye-bye every other day at an average of 2 kilos. Assuming, no? 5,000 household buying in bye-bye city market, buying an average of 2 kilograms every other day. So, what is the total market demand for rice every 2 days? So, you just have to multiply the 5,000 household times 2. Okay? 5,000 household times 2 kilograms. So you will get the total market demand for rice, no? Every 2 days, no? Every other day. So, so that is demand and also market demand. Now let's also settle the issue about change in demand, no? Muutro-utro ang demand, mag-vary ang demand. Now, changes in demand in the variables change in demand is actually changes in the variables other than price of a good, okay, such as income or price of another good, related goods, which lead to change in demand. Okay, change of, for example, uh, uh, if beef becomes, if we are looking at the demand for pork, and beef becomes cheaper. To some customers, barato ang beef, then they go for buying beef or something like that. So the demand for pork is affected. In that case, that is a factor that really also affects demand. That's why we hold other factors constant. Change in demand in the is are these are changes in variables other than price of a good, such as income or the price of another good that lead to a change in demand. This corresponds to a shift in entire market demand curve. Okay, now in the other side of the whole thing is change in quantity demanded. Okay, you have change in demand, na ako'y change in quantity demanded. Now, change in quantity demanded are, or it changes in the price of a good which lead to a change in quantity demanded. In other words, these are the variations in the quantity demanded along the same along the on the same demand curve, no? On the same demand curve, just like this one. Okay. Now you have, if you have a, for example, change in demand, okay, change in demand, you can visualize it by, for example, kaning red nga curve that will move in this direction. That means there is an increase in total demand. Now, if this red curve move leftward, that means there is a decrease in total demand. And that particular movement is actually affected by the changes in other factors other than price, income, price of related goods, expenditure of advertisement. Those are other factors that affects demand. So that means to say, you will notice that this cause a shift in demand, either rightward or leftward. But when you say, for example, change in quantity demanded, these are the variations in quantity purchased of customers with respect to price in a given demand curve. Dinhi nga demand curve, kaning red, no? Ana ra mo vary with respect to price. All other factors held constant. Okay. Remember, all other factors held constant. You can visualize it in this particular graph. Okay. Now, let us discuss all other factors held constant. Okay. Now, assuming, what are these factors? Assuming we need to vary all these factors. And how are these factors also affecting our demand? No? How are these factors? So, you have here the effect on which either bring about an increase in total demand, katong yung rightward or leftward shift. Now, if there is a change in income, income is represented by letter M, no? Income. Now, the effect of income on demand can come in two ways. Okay? Diba? If your income increases, what will happen? There's a possibility that you will increase your consumption with a particular product. But that is only halfway, because there are there are items that even if your income increase, you don't increase your consumption. Okay, for example, if you consume 1 kilo of salt every 2 weeks, 1 kilo of salt, significant consumption. 1 kilo of salt every say 2 weeks. Now the price of salt, there is an increase in your income. You cannot buy 2 kilos or 3 kilos of salt just because your income increases. That's something else, no? So income has two effects, two possible effects for income. One is if the good is normal and when the good is inferior. Okay? Normal good, increase in income, increase in consumption. Okay? Increase in income, increase in consumption. For example, the price of grapes this December, the price of grapes has become cheaper. Okay? Or maybe you have a lot of money because you have received bonus and the price of grapes you can now afford. Now, because of your increase in income due to your bonus, are you going to buy more grapes? Probably. No, probably because you want to consume more of that particular good. No? Now, the other situation is like this. If that is a normal good, but when the good is inferior, okay, inferior, an increase in income will result in a less than zero or less than zero increase in consumption. That means to say, mo decrease imong consumption. Okay? An increase in income ko no will decrease consumption. Okay. Like for example, comparing, no? Example, you are basically a kwan, bang like a rice has become expensive, so you now tend to mix your rice with corn, or maybe you eat corn this time because rice is just expensive to you, for example. Now your income increases. Okay, so the tendency is I would change my diet now. Instead of mixing more of corn than rice, I will now decrease my consumption of corn, increase my consumption for rice. Because corn to you, because you are not a corn consumer, corn to you is inferior than rice. Okay, so you eat more rice than corn because of the increase in income. So in that case, an increase in income, there is a decrease in consumption. You can also have another example with other goods, like you have pork and beef or something like that. No, so one should be an inferior, and then with increase in income, you go for a more superior kind of product, something like that. No, it's straightforward. Now that's income. Now what about like price of related goods? Okay, price of related goods. Now, related goods can either be a substitute or a complement. Okay? Now, substitute, that means to say, it's like, for example, it's a replacement for something that is what? That is, um, um, like, for example, um, something that is of the same nature to you, but only that there are constraints that this product is like for example, uh, being used because of the price or something like that, no? So the price of substitute increases the demand for good under consideration. Okay, if the price of substitute will what uh, will increase, or if there is a substitute, in case the price of the substitute increases, no, increases, the demand for the good under consideration will increase. That's natural, no? Atong akong gi-cite po kanina. If the, for example, between between uh, uh, what particular product, like for example, my example to this is using, like, in the manufacture of in the manufacture of, like, paper, no, or manufacture of, like, uh, paper or other material, no, paper for example, which uses wood pulp. Okay, gamit man ng wood pulp, manufacture of paper. Now, if you are a paper manufacturer, ang wood pulp is also already very expensive, and there is a a pulp which is, for example, coming from abaca, which is a lot cheaper than wood pulp, for example. Now, if the product of the substitute, which is abaca, becomes cheaper for the manufacturer, now the manufacturer will shift using abaca and decrease consumption for what for excuse me, for wood pulp, no? So that's natural tendency for a substitute product. The other one is complement, no? The other one is complement. Now, that might be a far-fetched example. A closer example would be like, in your coffee drinking, for example, you have uh, corn coffee and, like, the brewed coffee, the pure coffee, and then you're you're drinking corn coffee this time because you have what you have uh, you have, for example, the price of brewed coffee, the coffee that is regular coffee is expensive. Now, when the price of uh, uh, for example, corn coffee increases, now you tend to shift to brewed coffee. Brewed coffee is cheaper than the corn coffee, for example. The other one is complement. No, complement. Either a product is a substitute or a complement. Complement is straightforward. It's just simply you have something that really, like for example, improves the taste or consumption uh, preference of a particular good. You put something which is a complement, like sugar or milk, for example, no, with coffee or with something like that. No? The coffee and sugar. Sugar is a complement with coffee. Okay, if the price of the complement increase, mo mahal ang sugar, no, mo mahal ang sugar. The main product increases, the demand for the main product under consideration will decrease. Okay, the demand. Example, you drink you drink 3 cups of, or 3 mugs, baka whatever. You drink 3 cups of brewed coffee every day, and usually ang imong coffee, you have what you have you complement that with creamer and sugar. Now the price of sugar, uh, like for example, increases, mahal ng sugar, and also the other complement, which is creamer, it becomes relatively expensive already for you. So you have two options. You decrease your consumption, for you decrease the sugar that you put into your uh, for example, coffee, because you cannot afford nga you drink only 1 cup of coffee every day. Or the other option would be, instead of drinking 3 cups of coffee, brewed coffee every day, you reduce that to one, maybe, or 2 cups only, to economize on your complement. So in that case, that is the normal, very, very natural and also rational response to the price of a complement in this particular situation. No? Another is advertising and advertising expense, which corresponds for uh, consumer taste and preference. No, if consumer taste and preference will increase, will improve, then it will surely what? It will surely increase the demand. No, so if taste and preference will improve, no, meaning an increase in advertisement will induce increase in demand because na-influence siya, uy, mo inom ba day og kuan, mukaon ba day og Dunkin Donuts si Piolo Pascual or si Derek Ramsey. Murag, endorsement by these guys also influences the customer, no? So something like that, no? Advertisement. And you see the ads and then before long you got induced already on buying more of that particular product. That's the effect of advertisement and consumer taste and preference. The other one is the number of population. Okay, the number of mouth to feed if it is food. No, the higher the population, of course, more consumers, more customers of the product. Hence, demand will also increase. That means shift rightward. No, so that means the effect is strictly greater than zero. Di na sa walay possibility nga moos-os. It's really either negative or positive. Or if it is uh strictly greater than zero, that means it will really induce the number of consumers will increase, it will surely increase demand, no? Something like that. The next is consumer expectation or X. No? So if consumers are expecting a shortage next week, they will go panic buying now. That means it will induce demand to increase. No? So again, the effect of demand, the effect of consumer expectation to demand a particular product is strictly greater than zero also. No? Greater than zero. Which means increase in consumer expectation will result to an increase in demand. Now, there are uh, a lot of different types of consumer expectation. Like you are expecting a price increase next week, so you buy now or something. That's why the government is very very proactive in monitoring price also. Okay, if there is an impending like storm or typhoon, people will rush to the supermarket to buy a lot of the items needed in the house in order to like anticipate for the difficult times after the storm. No, I remember myself during the during the uh, uh, with the expectation that Yolanda is coming in the next 2 days. No, the Yolanda is coming in the next 2 days, and here comes the bye was still very calm during that time. In fact, it was very sunny the day before Yolanda came. It was very sunny. Nobody would expect that there's going to be a very disastrous storm coming. So what I did, because I know already from the news, I filled up a full tank, in fact double, because I also stored another container. In other words, I made I increased my sorry, I increased my fuel consumption. One full tank, and also buy another one, maybe 2 to 3 containers equivalent to one full tank also of gasoline, no, of crude oil, no, in for my vehicle. And true enough, when Yolanda came, boy, the price of gasoline per liter 1 week after Yolanda, 1 week after Yolanda, was really unimaginable. It was 250 pesos per liter, and I was like I was thankful actually that I bought my gasoline early on, so I only paid about 40 pesos per liter. So that was really a rational expectation on my part, no? I bought a lot of that, and then during the whole time, maybe 1, 2 months, I really economized my consumption, and that afforded me of the lead time until the price of gasoline settled down maybe after 3 months, balik na gid siya og 50 ang litro. But that was really the effect of consumer expectation. You can see a kilometer of queue at gasoline station because of the disaster caused by Yolanda. No? Now, that is demand. No? The quantity quantity demanded, and also change in demand, and also change in total demand, including the understanding of market demand. No, you have demand and you have also market demand. Now let's come to demand function. What is this demand function? Demand function is a function that describes how much a good will be purchased at alternative prices of that good and related goods, alternative income, and alternative values of other variables affecting demand. In other words, a demand function is actually an equation. Okay? An equation. You can see here an implicit demand function. Kaning pula. No? Implicit demand function. What are the variables? You have here QD of X is a function of PX price. The price of that good under consideration is also a function of the price of the related good, PY. It's also a function of income. It's also a function of advertisement, which is taste and preference. And it's also a function of all other variables represented by letter H. No? So the combination of that is a simultaneous solution in terms of finding for the demand of that particular product, good X, for example, where PX is price of good X, PY is price of related good, and so on and so forth. Now, this is an implicit demand function. Okay. Now, explicitly, kanina implicitly, this time explicitly, we will assume a linear demand function. Okay? A linear demand function. That means to say, this is an equation of a linear demand function. It's additive, no? You have the quantity demanded for good X is a function of you have the coefficient of PX plus alpha Y PY plus alpha M alpha M M, and then alpha A, and then A, and so on and so forth. So this coefficient, there are slopes of this particular variables, or these are the regressors, and then plus, of course, this one is the intercept, okay, in your statistics, and then this one is the error term. All other factors not captured in the equation. Okay, so you have here the equation where PX is own price, PY is price of competing goods, income is M, and then M, and then taste and preference or advertisement is A, and then assuming H is number of household. Okay, linear demand function, we assume that we put certain values there. No, you put certain values. So you have here an equation 12,000 minus 3px, okay, plus 4y minus m plus 2a. Okay, so how did we get all these signs? No, minus, plus, minus, etc. No, so how did we get all these signs? We get all this. We put all these signs together. Diba kanina? Kanina, what was that? It's all positive. Okay? It's all positive here. But this time, there is a negative there, 2 negatives and 2 positive. How come it is like that? We got that from theory. Okay? You see, if this is what? If this is the good under consideration, PX, diba? PX, the price of X is inversely related to quantity demanded. That means to say negative ang relationship. That's why that is the sign attached to this particular item, no, in the equation. What about this one? Okay, this one is, if, like for example, this is a positive sign. Remember, related goods. Okay, related goods. Now, how come this is positive? Or maybe here is income para medyo mas thrilling sa income, no? How come this is negative? Okay? If your income increases, your consumption will decrease. So what is that? What kind of good is that? If it is negative, that means this good X is an inferior goods, because when you increase your income, you will decrease your consumption. Okay, and so on. This one is the number of the effect on advertisement. Of course, when you increase advertisement, you will also increase your you will also increase your, like for example, taste and preference, and it will induce more like consumption. Okay, now going back to this one, why is it positive? Okay, positive because if price of related good will increase, it will increase the demand for good X. Diba? Uy, increase man ang related goods. Di na ko ato. Nari ko sa good X akong paliton. Why? Because mas mahal man tong related goods. Di na kamo palit dito. Okay. So that's why this science actually is actually derived and generated from the theoretical relationship, no, of that good. That's why very important to understand the relationship of that factor with the quantity demanded, or the demand with the good under consideration. Okay, so that is now the functional form of the equation. Then we go for some kind of substitution. So these are just assumption. Given that Px is 200, Py is 15, and then you have M is 10,000, and advertisement effect or taste and preference, you have 2,000 units. Then required.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, excuse me, sir. Hi, Batin.
Uh-uh.
I would like to ask, sir, considering your assumption that M as income
Okay.
will decrease if the good is considered inferior. So what if it's co-answer? It's how do we call it? Superior?
It's a normal good.
Yes, it's a normal good,
It's,
sir.
it's
Shall
positive.
we change that negative into a positive?
Yes. In order to be correct with the theory. Okay. Assuming imo nang giotro nga kana bitong positive na siya because normal good imong assumption.
Okay, sir.
Normal good imong assumption, imong giotro. You run the econometric estimate, and then sometimes in the estimation, kung kulang kag observation, it will give you a different sign. So you have to think in terms of consistency with the theory. Maybe kulang kag observation, wrong imong pagkuha sa data. First and foremost is we have to be consistent with the theoretical relationship. Okay, para di ta mawala, no? So that means kinahanglan gyud nga makahibalo tag unsay theoretical relationship niya, no? So kani siya gikuha na nato nga negative, which means inferior ni siya nga good.
Okay,
no?
okay.
Inferior. Anya ana siya. That's how it is. This one also is actually positive because kung mo increase ang price kay price man mo increase ring demand dari, so that's why it is positive. Pero kanipod this one Px, we know already that they are inversely related, so negative yun na siya. Okay. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll proceed now. So we substitute all these values here. We substitute all these values in this equation here. You have there, you substitute. Okay, and then solve straight away. So you have 5,000. Just simply substitution because this is linear, no? Linear demand function. That one. QDX. Okay. QDX. Quantity of demanded for good X is what we call as the inverse demand curve. Okay. Using the above equation, how do we plot the demand curve for this product? The solution requires that we let Px be the variable at the other held and hold other variables constant. This means that we rewrite the equation in this manner. Okay. So you have here what you have here, the equation, mamanig atong equation ganina, 12,000 plus minus 3px, and then you substitute the values for good related goods, and this one also for the the income 10,000, and this one also for the advertisement or consumer taste and preference, no? So that means constant man sila. Ang value magi-substitute ra kay constant man, di naman change. But here px is an estimable variable. This is not held constant. That means to say you have to solve the relationship between qdx and also you have 3px. So that means to say, simplifying that, because these are all constant here, so you have to simplify. It turns out to be like this, no? So if you multiply and then add, and then this is positive here, you get 6,060 minus 3px. Okay, so simplifying further, isolating price, no? Because price is actually our independent or dependent variable. Isolating price, diba? This is price. Okay, that means to say price is the y-axis. That means the price is our dependent variable. Okay, let me just get back. Now you have here 2020 minus 1/3 qdx. And 1/3 man because you distribute the 3. Okay, so simplifying further, you get this particular curve. You have px is actually equal to 2020 minus 1/3 qx. Okay, and then plotting that, you have kanina you have 60 or 2020 as the intercept for price. Imong intercept sa imong qdx is actually 60. Imo pong intercepts when price is actually the dependent variable is also 2020. That's why you have that intercept here, and you have here also the intercept for qdx. Okay, for price nga equation kari ang intercept niya. So connecting the 2 points together, you get the linear demand function for this particular product, which is kaninga curve is actually defined by the equation px is equals to 2020 minus 1/3 qx or qdx. No? So that is how it was derived. But let us not stop up to that particular point. Like we should be expert in terms of computation. What is important there is how to interpret the meaning of that figure, no? Because these are estimable using other you have an apps to solve this, but how to interpret the computed result is what is important. Okay, now if this is the linear demand curve, now let's move ahead a little further. Okay, it describes that at price equals to like 2020, the demand is at this particular point, which is actually higher in terms of that one, no? But if price is very low at this point, like for example here, it could be 50 or 20, the quantity demanded also is like 6,060. So that is the situation. Now, how do we make use of this particular curve or particular concept of linear demand function? Now let's proceed a little further on the discussion on consumer surplus. Okay, the consumer surplus. Now, the consumer surplus, hold that for a little while now. The consumer surplus concept, no? The consumer surplus is the utility of this concept to managers is in its being useful to show that demand curve can be used to ascertain the value of consumer or group of consumers, value of the consumer or group of consumer receives from a product. Okay, it also being useful in marketing and other disciplines that emphasize strategies such as value pricing and also price discrimination strategy. No, now we will discuss about value pricing later and price discrimination, but somehow the concept of consumer surplus, if you already know the the fluctuation of price or the highest possible price that the consumers can pay using the linear demand function calculation. Now, we need to overlay that with this particular concept on consumer surplus, and we see the application of that concept very clearly in a practical way. Now, what is consumer surplus? Consumer surplus means the value consumers get from consuming a good or the quantity of that good, but do not have to pay for it. Okay, that means you buy the product. When you buy the product and when you do hangyo, you bargain. Okay, you bargain, and then the seller will really also succumb to your bargaining, negotiation power. Say, okay, you can get that for like 100 pesos less than the original price. What do you feel? What do you feel? You feel that you have gained a lot without having to pay for it, di ba? You get something benefit out from buying the product without having to pay for that. Okay, so that's the normal psychology of customers. More generally, consumer surplus is the area above the price line, and also it's above the price line but below the demand curve. Okay, remember, I'll repeat, when consumer surplus is the benefit that you get, pero wala ni mo bayri. You don't necessarily have to pay for it. Okay, that is the effect if you, like for example, if you do bargaining or you ask for a discount and the discount was granted, then you feel that you have you have no you have maybe you will buy more, or you also feel that you have saved a lot, but you did not you did not pay for this particular saving, but only when you buy the product. Okay, conceptually also, what is a consumer surplus? It says here that it is an area above the price line but below the demand curve. If this is the price line, okay, kana siyang 40 ana price line. Okay. That the consumer surplus is this area here, kani dinhi. Okay? Because it is below the demand curve. And then when the price is 30, the consumer surplus above the price line and below the demand curve. That means this area here. And so on to 20, and so on to sa 30, sa 20, sa 10. So what have you observed? You can observe that the higher the price, the smaller the consumer surplus. That's why dili na kamo apas og palit kay murag nalugi na kag maayo kung mahal gyud kaayo, no? But when you do bargaining, so you have this consumer surplus, actually you pay only 30, but your benefit is this one. Okay? And you are not paying that, no? This benefit feeling sa imong, you feel it sa imong self, no? You only pay for this, but you gain this much of benefit, no? That is consumer surplus. In other words, the lower the price, the greater is the consumer surplus. What is the effect? Consumers will be coaxed, will be encouraged to buy more. Well, it's marketing strategy again. You manipulate on the consumer surplus of your customer, make them feel that they are gaining more, and then maybe discount or whatever strategy, and then in the process you will gain more customers if they feel that they have enough consumer surplus in your That's why when you sell your product and you hit immediately the taas, wala, only very few will be enticed to buy because ingon sila nga nanapi man ning tawhana, wa pang itakatilaw siyang produkto. Okay, so that means when you have customers already, you are a very aggressive and penetrative pricing, ari ka sa ubos nga presyo, you can gain more customers. And when they do a lot of repeat buying, maybe you can gradually escalate your price because they have tasted the pudding already. In other words, they have tasted that your product is of good quality. Marketing strategy using the same using the same concept on consumer surplus. Okay, that's why here you have here. So if this is for mineral water, for example, the first bottle, okay, the first bottle of, like for example, mineral water, maybe 10 pesos per bottle. Diri ka, okay, you want more because you find it very cheap at drink pa ka, no? Second bottle, at the fourth bottle din sa 40, you don't feel like drinking another bottle because it's already becoming more expensive. In other words, your consumer surplus has declined already, and because your thirst also has been quenched already. Okay? Pero ang barato pa to, bisag manubra imong tubig, okay lang, no? Because barato man. But mahal naman po. You are no longer willing to pay for that particular transaction. Okay? Each liter of additional bottle of water contribute an experience that is approaching saturation point. Siyempre, jog very far, maybe 1, 2, or 3, or 4, or 5 miles, and then you feel thirsty. The first bottle is so satisfying. Give me another bottle. Okay, another bottle. Fourth bottle, oh, mahal man, it's too expensive. It's okay. I'm not buying anymore. Okay, something like that. No? So, that is the concept of consumer surplus. You can also do a quantification of consumer surplus. Okay. Now, what about if the price is 20 liters? If you have this, if the price is 20 liters, okay, nari, we need to compute for this area here. Kana, mana yung consumer surplus. Okay. Okay. That is this is the amount you pay. Okay. Okay, this is the amount you pay. Kanidin hinga area. Okay. And then your consumer surplus is here. Kanidha. So, what is that in terms of quantitative figure? Okay. What about if the price of water is 20 pesos per liter? Okay. How much is the total consumer value and how much is your consumer surplus? For example, compute the total revenue at 3 liters. Okay. At 20, you have 60. 20 times 3. Kung imong bayaran total revenue, that means total amount of money paid. Okay. Then, compute the consumer surplus at 3 liters. Okay? Going back, 3 liters, ngari, o 3 liters kani, that is 20, no? 20. 3 liters. And then, you have here, if you know, this one, kani nga area, kani, ngari paingon. You know the size of that area. That size of that area is 20 times 3. That is 60. Okay? But we want to know what is the area for this one, this consumer surplus. So what we need to do is to do a little bit of tweaking in the equation. So you have here, compute for the consumer surplus at 3 liters. Okay. That means you have here kanini okay, sorry. Kani nga area kana. Oh, kani. So what is that area? It is an area of a triangle. Okay, di ba? Triangle ni. So this value is given, that is 3. Okay? When you compute for an area of the triangle, and this one also, you know this kani nga height, kani. You know that is 1, 2, 3. Anong ato? You know that the length of that. So given the height and the base, you can compute for the area of the triangle, which is 1/2 BH, which is this one. Okay? You have 1/2 BH. Ang imong 1/2 BH is that ang imong like base is 3, di ba? Going in that direction, 3. Okay? Going that, sorry. This one, ang imong base from this point to this point, it's 3. Okay. And then you have here, that is your base. Ang imong H is from 20 to 50. Okay, that one. So consumer surplus is the area of the triangle, which is 1/2 BH. Substituting all values, you have 50 minus 20 over 2 because 1/2 man times 3 equals 45. Ang parang savings nimo, nakabarato ka is 45 pesos, no? 45 pesos. Manang mo palit ta kay dako mo savings. And then compute the total customer value. That means willingness to pay for 3 liters. Willingness to pay is the amount paid, total revenue or total price paid plus consumer surplus 60 plus 45, that is actually ang imong willingness to pay was up to 105. But maximum na gid itong 105, no? So the willingness to pay is composed of the amount of goods spent plus the consumer's surplus. But what is important for our strategy in marketing is manipulating on the consumer surplus. Let the customer feel that they get more consumer surplus. They get more benefit. why well product mga sila nga? 2 for the price of 1. Okay? What is the purpose? That is to minimize loss, but actually to entice more customer to buy. So that is very very good strategy. Or you give discount because you want to manipulate that, because consumer surplus is actually a behavioral response in the buying transaction. Okay, behavioral response. Mao nang tagaan kag discount. If the seller gives you a discount, you feel happy and then you buy. Okay, for example, ako, I'm going to the market, I'm going to naka-zero in ako, I'm going to buy lapu-lapu fish lapu-lapu nga bye-bye. My price limit for lapu-lapu is like 380. Okay, 380. So I went there and I tell my okay, you have lapu-lapu? Yes, sir. I have lapu-lapu. How much? 380. Wow, 380. Can you give it to me at maybe 350? Okay, because you are my regular customer. So what happens? Instead of only buying 1, I will buy 2 or 3 kilos because I have so much consumer surplus. Itagan mo discount, no? So that's the effect of really manipulating the consumer surplus or any other transaction. Okay, so that is the demand side. Okay, what is important there? Take note of the concept of consumer surplus. If you need to read it some more, please read, because that is what is very important in like conceptual questions later on, either our exam or in the comprehensive exam, something like that. You have to know what exactly is the as a business manager, what is consumer surplus to me? Okay, something like that, no? So please familiarize that. We'll proceed to supply, no? Supply, the concept of supply. So the concept of supply is you have it's pretty different from concept of demand. Now, in a competitive market, there are many producers, okay? In a competitive market. So, market supply curve summarizes the total quantity of goods and services producers are willing and able to produce or sell at an alternative price, ceteris paribus again. Okay, kanina, total quantities of goods the consumers are willing to purchase. Karon, the producers or the sellers are willing and able to sell at alternative prices, ceteris paribus, or all other factors affecting supply is constant. Okay, no? Now, quickly, if you say, for example, a supply curve in this manner, you have here, even if you just imagine the relationship of price with supply or supply with price, what do you think is the relationship? It's obvious. It's directly related. Increase in price, increase in supply, because suppliers will get more profit, they get more revenue if the price is high. But if price is very low, they will only supply very low. That's why the curve for supply is going in that direction. No, it is directly related. The higher the price, the more supply. Okay. So in this diagram, we see also the differences or the illustration in terms of total, say, quantity supplied or change in quantity supplied versus change in supply. Just like in demand, if is if the movement of the various quantities of goods supplied by producer in response to price in the same supply curve, that is change in quantity supplied. Naara in one the same supply curve, no? Movement with respect to price. Remember, kaning red, any movement there along the supply curve is only the effect, independent effect of price. All other factors held constant. But if other factors are changeable, are changing, like for example, there are several factors, we'll discuss it this time. Now, if factors will change, and that factor will cause a decrease in supply, the supply curve will shift to the left. No, that this one, this arrow here resembles a decrease in supply. Then this one, this arrow here resembles an increase in supply in response to an uh, increase in particular factor that triggers an increase in supply. Maybe a technology na dugang og increase in yield. So that means supply will also increase. No, that one. So this is the difference between quantity supplied and change in supply. Kanina pod, quantity demanded and change in demand. Quantity demanded na nga ni along a given demand curve, independent effect of price. All other factors held constant. Kung di na constant ang factor, you will experience, no? Di na constant ang factor affecting supply or demand, you will experience a shift in either the demand curve or the supply curve as in this particular illustration. Okay. Proceeding. Now, change in supply and change in I have explained that already. Okay. Now, katong change in supply or change in quantity supplied. Now, when other factors change aside from price, the result will be supply curve shifting of the entire supply curve. Shift yun ang entire supply curve. Pero price lang nga ni, wala mo ang other factors within the same supply curve na. This is known as a change in total supply. Okay. What are the factors, by the way, affecting supply? What are the supply shifters? Okay, in the first place. One is input price. Mahal ang fertilizer, mahal ang chemicals. Of course, people will not be enticed to use it more, to plant more. That means, kung di sila mo abono, gamay ra yield, gamay ra production. It's as simple as that. Input increases, input price. Of course, the quantity supplied or supply will also, quantity supplied or total supply will also decrease. That's why the government cannot allow that to happen. Nga mo decrease ang supply, no? Mo decrease ang supply because especially for food, the government has to provide some kind of mechanism para the supply will continue to be stable, no? It's a supply that is very elusive, no? Another is technology or government regulation. The intended effect of technology will always be either increase in income or reduce in cost of production. Increase ang imong profit or mo reduce ang imong cost of production. Some examples would be new products and processes, environmental compliance and regulation nga sa government, okay? Like change of these factors would result to an increase in supply, no? And will shift the supply curve to the right. Now, the real intention of technology, why do we have technology? Why do we have to introduce technology? Because technology can either increase production or reduce cost. What affects the technology? It can reduce cost or it can increase production. Now, both of them has a profit impact. In other words, if you increase production, you will increase your revenue, and intuitively or derivably, your profit will also increase. Now, assuming production will not increase that much, but you will reduce on cost. You will reduce your cost. the same thing, your margin of profit will also increase. But then again, normally, because especially if it is a food items like staple, the government will not resort to something that is cost saving. Okay, it's not cost saving, but increase in production. Why? Because you have a lot of mouth to feed. Okay, so maura imo production, cost savings ang imo. Ang nadato, ang producer lang. Ang trader, it could even increase price noon dito sa retail market because with the same supply, kunya uh, a lot of mouth to feed, it will pull the price up. No, so the government is really very careful that really it will hit somewhere at the middle. Na mo save on cost and at the same time increase on production. Production good, importante kaayo. No. Now that is katong ganina, that is technology. No, technology. Now another is the number of producers. Obviously, if there are several producers, that's like if there are many customers, it will increase demand. Likewise, if there are many producers, it will also increase supply. So if producers of vegetable farmers, in buy is only 100 throughout buy, daw di kay nag-increase into 200, o di, siyempre, supply will also increase. Okay, so that is just a natural effect. The other one is substitutes in production. Okay, meaning to say you are using something, an input that is going to be used for what? An input that is going to be used for main ingredient sa imong production process, no? So that means uh, uh, it's really a very critical very critical situation to consider, no? Substitutes in production. Now, let me give you a different example this time than what I have been giving here in this presentation. Now, take into consideration the sardines manufacturing. Okay, sardines manufacturing. Now, in sardines manufacturing, tinapa ba? No? Tinapa, sardines manufacturing. The very important ingredients diya sa raw material. The very important raw material in all the ingredients diya. Unsa man, what do you think is the very important? There are two ang usa dili siya raw material. Ano lang siya, kanang part lang siya sa sa produkto, pero there is one very important raw material in sardines manufacturing. Yung fish is not the main raw material nga critical. Why? Barato ram ng tamban. Barato ra ng tamban. 10 pesos ra ng kilo dito sa kuan. Barato ra gyud kayo ang tamban. Di maka-usa ka kilo, pila na ka tinapa mahimo ana. So it's the like spices ibutang dito. Not even pila ram na spices ibutang. The very important ingredients or raw material for sardines manufacturing is tomato sauce. Tomato sauce. Or coming from tomato paste. Okay, tomato paste. Now, if price of tomato paste will increase because we don't manufacture efficiently tomato paste in the country because mahal ang kamatis. So where do we get our tomato paste? Tomato paste is we imported it in Pakistan. Pakistan agikan. Kaya they can provide us with very cheap source of tomato paste. Now, we buy from Pakistan. Nag-increase daw ang price sa tomato paste sa Pakistan. Because we cannot import tomato. Malata ran ato. We import tomato paste. Now, when it comes here, landing cost very expensive. Naturally, the manufacturer will not allow the price to swing very high. No? Otherwise, mabad ang customer. No? Pang pobre ra ba ng kuan? Pang poor people ra ba ng mga sardines because that can last a long time. Now, what the substitute for tomato paste, okay? The substitute for tomato paste, very cleverly, is sweet potato paste. Kanang orange yun, yung sweet potato. Deep orange sweet potato. Okay? Now, nagbarato the price of potato paste nagbarato, become cheaper. Okay, become cheaper because oversupply of tomato in Bukidnon, allow potato in Bukidnon, sweet potato. Now, what will happen? It will decrease the demand for tomato paste from Pakistan, substitute of sweet potato paste. It's just a rational decision for producer to be like that. Unya, moingon dayon ang 555 manufacturer. Kaning among sweet potato, niadto sa barato pa ang tomato paste, we have lycopene. Lycopene, tomato man na, tomato. Karon nga nag-substitute na sila og kanang sweet potato paste. You know what they emphasize? Vitamin A. Di na no longer lycopene. Why? Because sweet potato orange, kanang orange, deep orange sweet potato is just like the color of sweet tomato paste. Added a little water, pareho lang yung kuan. And then it's high in vitamin A. That's why if you notice a couple of years ago or several years ago, ang ilang positioning sa ilang product, it's high in vitamin A. Actually, it's substituted with sweet potato paste. Sweet potato paste. But sweet potato also is really becoming, it's the normal game in the industry. It's already becoming more and more expensive because of other uses. So, swing na po na rin sa really, this very critical fine-tuning in terms of the price. Why am I talking to you this? Because I have actually experienced doing industry consultation forum on substituting sweet potato paste or sweet potato paste with tomato paste. With substituting tomato paste with sweet potato. We went to Cagayan de Oro, amo silang ipatilaw. Naghimo og sardines yun. There is a food science nato department. Sardines kanang yung tinapa nga yun, tamban. We also actually we use kaning ni ang mangkok na mong gigamit, no? Mas expensive ni siya. But then we also use the tamban kanang sardines nga isda. Back that tulo ka variants. You have you have 100% tomato paste, you have 20% sweet potato, you have 50% sweet potato, 50%. That means 50-50 sweet potato or tomato paste. And then the other one is 40-60. 40-60. 60% sweet potato and also 40% tomato paste. Okay. So dito sa lata. And then kanina ay kaning 555 manufacturer o kanang mga silibis scanning nangadto sila sa Cagayan de Oro. We presented that under the funding sa Land Bank. So mas kita unsa to nga amo silang gipatilaw ang ilang product development mga officers. Okay, this one tilaw wa sila kay unsay mixture di ato tilaw sila a good number of them ilang product tester and you know what was the result? The result, amazingly, ang 50-50 para nila kani kuno kay kanang tomato gyud ang lasa kuno. May tomato ba nga 50-50 man to, tomato paste o sweet potato. So in other words, it's really effective as a substitute for But then again, nagmahal na pong kamuti karon. Mahal ang kamuti. Plus naagi og drought. Ning swing lagi hapog balik ngadto sa but that is a prospect, no? We actually already have proposed with Land Bank that time and then together with BRCI, Bukidnon Resource Company Incorporated, to produce sweet potato paste in Bukidnon. Comes the drought in I don't know what year was that. Di yun nag-materialize. Maangani kay wa pa mo kuan ang Land Bank og release og money, no? So that's the story why this substitute in production is really very critical as a decision point in supply. The other one is taxes. Okay, taxes. How tax affect supply? Okay, naata karoy kuan kanabang na ay napangani taxes na pa po gingon karon nga kanang na ay tariff, national tarification law. We can explain that also, no? But take for example taxes, no? Taxes. How does it affect supply? Okay, the effect of taxes on total supply will come in two forms. No, two forms ang epekto sa taxes. Either excise tax or ad valorem tax. What is an excise tax? Okay, what is an excise tax? What is an ad valorem tax? Now, excise tax is a tax on each unit of output produced and sold and collected from the supplier. In effect, excise tax shift the supply curve. Remember, excise tax for each unit produced. Okay? You produce 100 units, kada usa na excise tax. Okay, na excise tax. If you see, for example, kaning bitang mga wines and spirits na imported, na bitay mao ni botilya, nga gipapilit nga nga naay papel nya nabutangan og sticker nagipapilit nga papel diha nga rin. What is that? That is actually tax na from BIR for every bottle nga naay inana, equivalent na sa mga kilabay ilang tax di ana, no? So in other words, based on volume of production. Okay. So what is the effect? The effect is it will reduce supply. Okay? Kani mao ni ang supply nya nagtax man at 75 centavos per unit. So ning shift ang supply paingon diri. Okay? So ning shift ang supply, you have here a constant supply pero mahal nagpresyo. Okay? Mahal nagpresyo because price plus T or plus tax, mahal na ni presyo karon. Unlike this one, mao na siya ang price piece of O. So that is, this black here is the supply parallel to the original supply but higher ang price. You can expect nga mo reduce ang consumption, ang buying ni ana. What if they mo reduce? Because the price increases, natural tendency of the supplier will produce less. Otherwise, they will suffer the same thing in the market because customers will no longer buy an expensive product. Something like that. Theoretically, it's the result, no? Now, why is it also parallel? Parallel ang duha ka curve, the red and the black. It's parallel because regardless of the volume of production, whether from 0 to infinity here, the same amount of tax is imposed per unit according to volume of production. Separate when we say ad valorem tax or tax based on value. Okay. Ad valorem tax literally means based on value. This is a percentage tax, the sales tax or even VAT, no, are common examples. Since this is ad valorem, it's based on value, tax imposition is higher on more expensive item. Kung mahal ang item, mahal ang tax. Kung barato ang item, barato ang tax. Simple as that, based on value. How will it affect supply? It affects supply in this way. It otherwise rotates the supply, no? At cheaper price, gamay rag tax. Pero at higher price, dako kay nang tax. That means to say it rotates the supply curve. So that means to say it's the more expensive the goods, the higher the tax. But the cheaper the goods, the lower the tax. That's why it's really what a socially a socially compatible agenda to put VAT, no? Kay kung insa may mamalit sa mahal nga produkto. Who are these groups who are really buying expensive goods? These are the rich people. So naturally they pay more tax. But we who are at the lower end of the economic divide, we pay lower tax because gamay ra income. Okay. Now, if we receive our salary and also maybe buy some expensive goods, it's okay because you will be taxed also significantly. So that is just a socially equitable, I would say, strategy of taxation. Now what will become of this tax collection? That is another discussion in economics. But just roughly, it will be used to provide services to the consuming public, no? Or to the to the people, to the population of the entire country in general. That's why, for example, just quickly, sa tarification law, the amount of tax or the amount of tariff, what is tariff? It is a form of tax collected from imported items, collected from from exporters to our country, collected from them. Tariff is a form of tax collected because they use our market mechanism in the Philippines. They will use our facilities, market mechanism. They will use our warehouse, etc. In our country. And they will use also, they will make use of our market facilities. Rightly so that they are going also to pay tariff, no tariff. So it's a form of tax actually, no? It's a form of tax. So the income from tariffs or the revenue collected from tariff will now be used to finance mga production enhancing mga facilities or infrastructure so that our farmers will be able to compete with cheaper products from abroad or from other countries, no? So it's really just an income leveling say approach. So that means to say in a form of seed, in a form of several other, say for example, interventions in the rice industry, if it is rice. No? So that's very important. So that one, that is ad valorem tax. Okay. The other one, okay, tax, factor about supply. The other factor is producer expectation. Okay, producer expectation. Just like consumer expectation. Ang producer na po na sila expectation. If the firm suddenly expects prices to go higher in the future, the product is not and the product is not perishable, producer can hold back. Okay, can hold back output today. That is the downside and kind of the economic evils of expectation also, because they will hold back output today and sell later. Maunang the government is monitoring, because if the producer expect that there is going to be a price increase, okay, they will reduce the the unloading of produce now and sell maybe a week later para dako sila profit. Ginamonitor na sa government. Di na pwede. What if your stock gipalit na nimog barato, sell it nga barato pa. Because the price for expensive one is different, no? So that is what the government is monitoring. But naagya po'y lusot, no? Naagya po'y lusot. Kaming Pinoy, tulo ka L ning Pinoy, no? Lusot, lagay, o kana bitang lakas. Maunang Pinoy, kung di ka madag lusot, lagyan ka. Kung di ka madag lagay, palakas ay. Kuan dayon. That is also, we are trying to minimize. Producers' expectation really is also damaging to the entire industry or market. That's why the government is setting restrictions and regulations in order to minimize, if not avoid, the negative effect of producers' expectation. No? Maayo man og naay consumers' expectation kay mo benefit man gid sila kay mamalit man ang consumer og daghan. The only thing, it's also inflationary. Kung pag-panic buying, ang mag-inflationary na noon kay daghan namang paliton niya, maura ang supply. So the government also is paying more particular attention to that. Nga, do not go panic buying because that will even increase the price if you do that, no? So producer's expectation is really has a less than zero effect on kung mag-increase ang producer's expectation, mo reduce gina ang supply karon, no? So with that note, the next week we will continue with supply function, no? But this time ako orang that is halfway sa material sa module. I will stop from here and really also allow us to kana bang be able to really also rethink and also go back to this lecture, because I will upload this to my Moodle classroom, this lecture, and then for anything that you would like to uh, read further, it's okay. Na-add to instruction on sa reference, and then you can also listen to the lecture again. Now, from here on, I will stop sharing, no, and then I will like okay, I will stop my